Twitter.
In the last 3 years, contact form plugins have tripled the number of sales that they have ever made since the inception of the contact form plugin. That's a weird number to hear, right? Triple the amount of sales that they've ever made since we invented the contact form plugin. I'm going to be honest, it's a weird number to talk about, especially because it's not true. Now, had I left that part out, had I told you that it was true, we all would sit here and agree that a contact form plugin would probably be the software in the WordPress space that could reach 3 times the amount of sales in 3 years. Now, why is that? How many people here have ever gone to Facebook, to Twitter, to Instagram, to a Slack channel, and asked for advice? What's the best plugin to do this? How many people have done this? A couple people, all right. If you look on the advanced WordPress group on Facebook, which I'm one of the admins of, you're going to see people asking questions. What's the best plugin for a gallery? What's the best plugin to do this? In the top 3 results, you're going to see a contact form plugin mentioned. Even if the question isn't about contact forms, Gravity Forms can still do 90% of the things that another plugin can do. That's a weird thing to hear, right? A contact form plugin could help me make a gallery. A contact form plugin could allow people to write posts on my blog without them having to be logged in. That's really cool. But why is that? It's because when you look at WordPress, WordPress is nothing but contact forms. How many people realize that? When you go to edit a page, when you go to edit a post, when you go to update your permalinks, you're using a form, you're checking something, and you're hitting submit. You're using a form to send information to another place, and then you're using that information to send it to another place. Contact form plugins have generated WordPress and have moved it insanely across this platform to build WordPress to how it is today. Contact forms are insane. There are filters that you could use. You could actually, anytime somebody writes a new post, you can have it email a friend of yours. It's kind of weird, right? Why would I want to do that? You shouldn't do that, but you could do that. There's a filter, you could do that, right? Myself, I write plugins. I have written software, I've done some crazy stuff. I used to work for the National Weather Service. We built a custom content management system, and it was horrible. But it was all custom contact forms. That's all it was. But they weren't contacting anybody. Nobody was getting an email showing me that some scientist in Israel was updating this hydrology-mometer thing, bob in India. I never got an email. But he still used a contact form to submit the data to the database. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? It's important because WordPress, we keep developing filters. And we keep developing these filters to make your site safe. Right? How many people know that? How many people know that every time somebody uses something on Gravity Forms, it's actually reading what is being submitted, and it's actually filtering bad characters? How many people knew that? You can actually, if we didn't have filters, you could use a % as your name. Now, we have filters that say, no, you need at least 5 to 10 characters before you can submit me something, right? Or, all right, if I want 5 to 10 characters, I'll just use the % 5 to 10 times. Take that, you know? Now we have things that say, no, now they have to be letters, and they have to be A through Z, or 1 through 0, or 0 through 9, or we have these filters, and that's what is progressing WordPress. We're building this thing, and everything is based on contact forms. Who here can tell me the difference between Gravity Forms and Formidable? Formidable Forms. Anybody? All right. Nobody wants to try it? I have a candy bar. Who wants a candy bar? No? You're wrong, I promise. There's no difference between gravity forms and formidable forms, except how they process the data that you put into the form. That's it. Gravity forms and formidable forms do the same exact thing, except you tell it where to send the data. That's it. I want you to send this information to my email, or send it to the database, or send it to this guy's site. I don't care. Let that guy deal with the data. That's not my problem. A lot of people do this. You can pass parameters. Parameters are kind of crazy. But with gravity forms, you can do things, parameters. You can say, mysite.com / and then you do a little question mark, and you say first name equals Russ. And anywhere on a form where it says first name, it's going to input Russ on that every single time. Now, I don't know why you'd want to do that. Nobody likes my name, but that's cool. What happens is people start sending data. I myself now, I help a small mortgage company in Las Vegas. WordPress and mortgages, they really don't go together well, I'm not going to lie. I have people that come and they say, I'm trying to apply for a 30-year mortgage. I want 3.25% to be my mortgage rate. I have people use gravity forms, and what it does is it takes all that data and it sends it to a third-party site, and it inputs all that data into a lead management system, into a CRM. Now, Chris Lemma was talking about it earlier, right? You read these websites and they're like, hey, did you know that this plugin does this, and this plugin does this? And you know, WP Ninja forms are going to handle data this way, and we're going to handle it this way. The truth is, I could buy formidable forms right now and write 5 to 10 lines of code and turn it into gravity forms. It's weird to hear, right? How many people can do that? How many people know somebody who can do that? You met him. His name's Chris Lemma. Raise your hand. All right. So, contact forms are awesome. But with great power comes great responsibility. Everywhere you use a single contact form, you have to, you can't protect yourself from everything that's going to be thrown your way. But when you use a contact form plugin on the front end of your site, you want to use something that is going to protect you. Because even though you use gravity forms, somebody could still, this is totally hypothetical, this is not a legal talk, but somebody could write FU as the first name, and if you check a box to send it to Amazon.com as that first name, you might be responsible for paying the back order on that, because they won't ship to somebody named that, but they're going to still charge you for processing the payment. How many people knew that? I've had that happen. I've paid $70 so far, because that's happened twice. What happened was, I didn't check the right boxes. I didn't understand what was going on. This was like 10 years ago. So, what happened though is, now we have filters. Now we have things. You can use a contact form plugin to say, these words, don't ever send a form using these words. Now, you can't just go down and download every bad word imaginable. I mean, kids today, they're creative. They start making up bad words. But what you can do is you can start using a plugin network, like we were showing iThemes earlier. They give you an API key, right? They can block all the bad IPs, and it keeps a log. That's what Akismet's doing. Akismet is keeping a log of all these spam words, and you can hook up your plugin, your contact form, into these spam words. The difference between contact form plugins is only how they handle the data and where they're sending the data. You can make any contact form plugin identify with PayPal, with Stripe. I don't know any others, but they can still integrate into that one. You can do anything you want because Gravity Forms gives you, it's not a handbook, they don't mail it to you, but it's all online. They give you the filters to do something. You can say, Gravity Forms, I don't ever want you to update me when somebody writes me, right? I don't want to get a copy of the email. I just want it to go to John. I don't care about John. Let his inbox get filled, but I don't need to know what John's doing. There's a filter for that. You can do that. There's no difference between contact form plugins other than how they handle the data. Real quick, so we can get out of here. Plugins are not bad because they're called plugins. How many people knew that? Plugins are bad because the developer got drunk one night and wrote bad code. I'm that guy. Hi, I'm Russ. I'm an alcoholic. Nice to meet you guys. Here's what happened. I wrote a plugin, and I accidentally left a username and password in one of my files. Anybody could download my plugin and activate it, and you didn't need a username and password to log in. I did that. That's me. I'm that guy. I had to push out 4 different versions of my plugin before I finally figured out I used the username and password that you should never use. Username was admin. That's a true story. Plugins are not bad because they're called plugins. Contact forms are not bad because they're called contact forms. They're bad because in that instance, when somebody pushed up that version of that plugin, there's a small little bug in it. So don't be afraid to use contact forms. Don't be afraid to use plugins. Thank you for using WordPress. Try the veal scallopini. It's delicious. Good night.